It's the end of August, so that means the Hokies are returning to the gridiron. Welcome inside the newly named Center for the Arts right here at Virginia Tech. I'm Robbie Ackerly, along with Haden Tolbert, for the kickoff edition of the 3304 Sports Kickoff Show. It's great to be back, Haden.
Yeah, school just started. We have a football season ahead, and you know you can feel the excitement in the nation. We just had the Farmageddon between Iowa State and Kansas State, and Iowa State took home the win for the first win of the 2025 season.
Yeah, it was a barn burner in Ireland, to say the least, and that was just the beginning, Haden, of what's sure to be a long, dramatic, and definitely exciting college football season. But let's cut right to the chase here, Haden. Virginia Tech football is back and with an entirely new look.
Yeah, a lot of changes have happened. You know, they had strength and conditioning coaches changes, but also head coordinator changes with Sam Seifkis and Philip Montgomery coming in. You know, Philip Montgomery has experience with Robert Griffin III, so, you know, he's a quarterback guy, and I'm sure Kyron Jones loves that. He recruited him outside of high school, so that connection is going to be on point to start the year. And then you have Sam Seifkis, who is a linebackers coach at Arizona Cardinals. He has a little bit of experience in college, but not at the Power 4 level, so you're expecting a lot of changes on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, the connection nowadays, especially between coach and quarterback, is just so important. You see that all the time. So if I'm a Hokie fan, I'm pumped up to see how Kyron Jones is going to perform in this new offense. And then you talk about the defense. Sam Seifkis bringing that NFL experience that is just so valuable. So if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I am super pumped up to see how Virginia Tech operates on both sides of the ball this season. Now, we could sit here all day and preview what's in store for the Hokies. But the truth is, there's only two of us here at the desk. Out there on the drill field, there's thousands upon thousands of Hokies who have their humble opinion on Tech football this upcoming season. We send you down to the heart of campus, where our very own Riley Klaus is chopping it up with the students of Virginia Tech. Riley?
It's no secret that college football is back, and this season is a big one for Brent Pry and the Virginia Tech Hokies. So with not much time before the Hokies go down to Atlanta to take on South Carolina, what better place to hear about the thoughts on the team than the students at Virginia Tech? So we're right here in Blacksburg, Virginia, and let's hear what the students have to say about the upcoming season for the Hokies.
Kyron Jones is going to throw over 3,000 yards.
I think Virginia Tech is going to go 8-5 this year.
Virginia Tech is going to sell out every home game.
I think we're gonna go over 0.500.
I think we're going 6-6 this season.
I think Virginia Tech's gonna go 8-6 this year.
I think it'll probably be somewhere between 5-7 and 7-5.
I think that we're going to be 6-6 this season.
Quentin Reddish will have 2 interceptions.
We're going to lose to South Carolina.
Virginia Tech is going to beat South Carolina.
So that's what the students are expecting for this upcoming season for Virginia Tech, but only time will tell to see how it goes. I'm Riley Klaus. Back to you guys.
Great stuff, Riley. Always great to hear the thoughts and opinions of those right here on campus. And hey, enough big picture stuff about the season. Let's cut right to the chase here. Virginia Tech taking on the number 13 team in the country, the South Carolina Gamecocks. And there's a whole lot more than just football in terms of this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Frank Beamer is going to be honored at the beginning of this game. The footprint the Beamers have made in this area as a whole has been huge, and Shane grew up here all his life. He was quoted saying in the SEC documentary on Netflix that in Blacksburg, he's known as Frank's son. So when he hears that and we hear that, we're going to expect this is going to be a very important game for him.
Yeah, definitely going to be important for him because if you look at his career in football, he's played at Virginia Tech, coached at Virginia Tech, and like you mentioned, his father, Frank Beamer, a complete legend here in the streets of Blacksburg. In fact, has his own street right in front of his statue he also has at Lane Stadium. So if I'm Shane Beamer, I'm definitely feeling the pressure. And if I'm Frank Beamer, I'm not sure who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of Virginia Tech fans are going to be disappointed because, you know, father's going to always pick his son. But either way, whichever team he chooses, we have our very own Cody Wagner offsite on Beamer Way telling us about the connection between Beamer and the Hokies.
Take a walk with me, folks. Heading outside Castle Coliseum, in a moment we'll hook a left on the legendary Beamer Way. Well, that's named after Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech football head coach. He retired back in 2015. Beamer with Virginia Tech, boy did he do a lot. Went to a national championship back in 1999, one in which the Hokies lost to Florida State, but his legend will forever live on here in Blacksburg. That a team in which he coached Michael Vick, a number of legendary players amongst them, but I mentioned his legacy. Take a look behind me. Beamer Way, a beautiful sight to behold here in Blacksburg, and maybe there's another Beamer you need to know about. let's keep taking a walk down this road, beautiful Beamer Way, and that's Shane Beamer. His son, who played here as a wide receiver, he was a walk-on, had some scholarships at some D2 schools, decided to come play for his father here at Virginia Tech. His final season was that legendary 1999 campaign where they went all the way to a national championship. Frank only got to coach one, in which his son Shane was able to be on the sidelines with him. Just a great story. From there, Shane immediately went into coaching, ultimately finding his way back to Virginia Tech in the early 2010s. There, he was the running backs coach for the Hokies. From there, he got a number of assistant positions, went over to Georgia. He spent time at South Carolina right before coming to Virginia Tech under Steve Spurrier. Then in 2020, he found his way back to South Carolina, coaching the Gamecocks in Columbia, and he's done a great job ever since. They had a rocky season back in 2023, but boy did he prove his worth and get a contract extension last year in 2024. Took the team to a 9-3 record, and they were knocking on the door of the college football playoff. Well, the legendary Beamers that have been here at Virginia Tech, now Hokies got to face one on the other sideline in Shane, who has really done a lot of good with this program. He continues to live up to the Beamer name, in which they call Beamer Ball. That's something that Frank Beamer pioneered right here on this Virginia Tech campus, in which special teams is a big part. Well, wouldn't you know it, after Shane Beamer left Virginia Tech, he went on to be a special teams coach over at Georgia. Just seems like the perfect story for Shane and what he continues to try to do with the South Carolina program. Beamer on the other sideline, there's been a legendary number of them here at Virginia Tech. Frank began things, Shane continued as an assistant coach, but now he stands across from Brent Pry. We'll see who comes out victorious Sunday, but it's sure to be a family affair and a good one at that.
Great stuff, Cody. Now, let's focus on the task at hand, the game happening between the lines. Now, you have many outlets and fans thinking this is going to be a blowout for the South Carolina Gamecocks, as they're an 8-point favorite against Virginia Tech on Sunday.
Yeah, taking a look at the Vegas betting odds, Hayden, the line's really interesting because 8 points isn't a whole lot of points when you look at this matchup on paper. The number 13 South Carolina Gamecocks returning their superstar quarterback and coming off a red-hot end of the season versus a Virginia Tech team that really struggled last year despite having a multitude of talent that went to the NFL draft. So it's quite the test for the Hokies. It's like walking to the first day of class and getting handed the final exam, because I think, in my opinion, this is the most challenging opponent that Brent Pry and his crew are going to face all year.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge matchup indeed, Robbie. You know, you have a near playoff team in South Carolina, and then you look at, Virginia Tech, they're on the whole different side of the coin. They had a disappointing season and haven't had a 10-win season in like a decade. So it's going to be a big step for them to get over that hump in this upcoming game.
Yeah, and you alluded to it before. This could be make or break for Brent Pry, and it starts this Sunday down in Atlanta. For more on this ACC-SEC clash between the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Virginia Tech Hokies, our very own Taylor Brettel is giving you a preview of the action in a segment he calls Taylor's Top 3 Takeaways. Taylor?
We are just a couple days away from the Virginia Tech Hokies taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm Taylor. I'm going to take you into Taylor's top 3 takeaways that you'll need to know for this game. First takeaway, you have to get ahead early. Sounds obvious, but it's something that this guy would say. We saw this a lot last season with Virginia Tech. You could even start first game of the year against Vanderbilt. They got down early in so many games and crawled back, but just couldn't get enough. We got to see the Hokies get ahead early against the Gamecocks, especially entering as 8-point underdogs. Takeaway number 2, got to put the pressure on the Norris Sellers. This is a quarterback for South Carolina that is a Heisman favorite and will torch programs if you let him get hot early. Hokies got to bring that pressure, got to make him uncomfortable. It is technically a road game for both teams. You call it a neutral game, but he's not going to have that Gamecock crowd around him. So already uncomfortable situation there at the neutral site. Now you got to make it uncomfortable on the field. And the third and final takeaway, the offensive line, brand new supporting cast, they've got to show out in their debut. You got a new coach, lots of things are changing. It's not going to be easy, you're facing South Carolina, but we've seen time and time again, if Pop Watson's in there, if Kyron Drones is in there, the quarterback is best when they get the most time. And I know that sounds very obvious, but you look at that with Drones a lot last season. When he had the most time in the pocket, he could really fire it downfield. Even go back to week 1 last season against Vanderbilt, that deep touchdown to Ollie Jennings. Those flashes are what could give the Hokies the edge in this game. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Taylor. Amazing stuff as always. Hayden, we could sit here and preview these two teams for hours, but come Sunday, there's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. Hokies, Gamecocks, who you got?
You know, I'm a huge believer in underdogs. You have these new coordinators and these new transfer portal additions for the Hokies. You know, it's going to be a whole different team, you know, but, you know, this Gamecock D-line is going to be too much for the Hokies' new O-line that doesn't have much experience with each other. So I'm going to go to the Gamecocks 24-13.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I think there's going to be some growing pains for this Virginia Tech team. I think it'll be a little closer than people expect and a lot more high scoring. I'm not super high on either of these defenses, so I'm going to go 38-31 in favor of the Gamecocks.
Yeah, and that's not the only matchup between, you know, the Hokies and the Gamecocks. We have 2 games the day earlier between number 1 Texas and number 3 Ohio State, and number 9 LSU and number 4 Clemson. Who you got?
Well, I look at this first game. It's not very often you get treated to number 1 versus number 3, let alone an opening weekend. And for me, I'm riding with the home team. Give me the national champs, Ryan Day, Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State taking down the Longhorns.
Yep, I think I'm going to have to disagree with you, Robbie. You know, Arch Manning, his name's Manning for a reason. You know, I think he has a little bit more experience at the QB level, and I'm going to go with the Longhorns on this one. But, you know, the second game, let's get to it. LSU versus Clemson in Death Valley in South Carolina. Garrett Nussmeier withdrawing from the NFL draft and going into his last year of college to win a national championship for the Tigers.
Look, Hayden, I love me some Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. However, I'm all in on these Clemson Tigers. Cade Klubnik, they're returning a lot of talent. And I might go out on a limb here, but I think Clemson can go all the way. Let me choose Clemson to beat LSU and kickstart their national championship campaign.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for the Tigers and the ACC because the ACC hasn't been doing too well as they've been in the bottom of the barrel in the NIL era. So I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers to go all the way this year. You know, it's needed. And I honestly think since it's a home game, it's going to be Clemson. And with that being said, we'd like to thank the beautiful Center of the Arts at Virginia Tech for the support, along with our guys on the ground, Riley Klaus, Cody Wagner, and Taylor Brettel, and our main guy in the control room, Robert Bateman, with 3304 Sports. I'm Haden Tolbert, alongside my partner, Robbie Ackerly. Enjoy your weekend, and see you next week for the 3304 Sports Kickoff Show.